In previous videos we've gone through the creation of question banks, and it's from these that you'll be able to create tests for your users. This video is going to show you how to do it. As always, you must be logged in as an organization administrator. To start, you need to identify the question banks from which you will create your tests. Look in Resources Management, and here you can view the banks available to you. Make a note of the question banks you want to draw from to create your test. I'll stick with the infection control theme of these videos, and here's one we created earlier. Infection Control Test 2. If you wanted to use any of the others, then you'd just have to make a note of the title. I'll show you why in a moment. Also, you'll have to take note of the number of questions that will be delivered. With Infection Control Test 2, you'll get all 10 questions delivered. If you selected, say, routine hand hygiene, you'll get a random selection of any 3 questions from the bank of 24. Or if you used use of personal protective clothing, that'll give you any 3 from 18 questions. So, if you were to combine these 3 banks in your test, you would get all 10 questions from Infection Control Test 2, plus any 3 from routine hand hygiene and any 3 from personal protective clothing. So that means 16 questions altogether. If you want to change the number of questions delivered from a bank, then you have to go into the bank itself and change the number. We showed you that in an earlier video. You have to edit the source. You can't change it later in the process. Let's create a test. Back to the dashboard, select Take a Test, and then click on the box Add Assessment. On the page that follows, you can put in the title of your test. Now I'm going to keep it simple and put in here Infection Control Test 2. Now in this area called Body, we recommend that you put in some details that people taking the test will read before they start it. You'll want to come back to this later, so for now, again, keep it simple, and we'll just put this in. You can ignore the section called Teaser Image. This just ensures that the icon for the test is the clinicalskills.net logo. If you remove it, they'll just see a grey square with the title of the test below it. Moving down the page, this is where you select what question banks you're going to use. Now in a previous video we created a question bank called Infection Control Test 2. So we're going to type in the exact name of the test. We could also use a keyword from the title, and the list of all question banks of that title or containing that keyword will come up in the drop-down menu. Select the one you want, and there it is. In this case, because earlier on I created a question bank that was a mix of questions from 2 pre-existing banks, I'm only going to use that single question bank. But you could, for example, use 2, 3 or more question banks in a single test. If you want to do that, you just click on Add Another Item. So, having selected your question bank or banks, you set the other parameters for your test. You can select the duration that you'll allow in minutes. So 15, 30, 45, and if you want more than an hour, say 2 hours, you set 120 minutes. If you don't want to limit the time that your users have to do the test, then you just put in 0 for no limit. Next, you can specify how many test attempts you will allow. For unlimited retakes, put 0. In this case, I'm going to put 3. So that means any user will only be able to take this test 3 times. Now you should note that when your users take the test, if they want to retake it, then the system will only hold the most recent result. So if it's worse than their first or second attempt, hard luck. The last result is the one that the system remembers. When users have completed a test, the website shows them a page with their score on it and whether their answers were right or wrong. You can also allow it to show them the correct answer if they answered a question wrongly. So if you want them to be able to see this correct answer at this point, make sure the box here is ticked. Now you decide what you want the pass mark to be as a percentage. Now I'm going to ask for 90% in this case. And finally, if you want users who pass the test to be able to download a certificate, then this is where you select it. Tick the box. When you've set your parameters, I'd recommend that you go back to the section marked Body and fill in the details that you've decided about the test. So here's an example. Following on from what we've just set, you have unlimited time to take the test and can retake it 3 times. The pass mark is 90%, and if you pass, you can download a certificate recording your achievement by going to the dashboard and clicking on My Progress. Now you can put in here whatever you want. And then, perhaps the most important thing after you've done all that, you must click Save. If you don't, you'll lose it. So click Save. At this point, you have created your test. You won't see it on this page, but don't panic, and it won't be visible to your users. The next video will explain how to allocate the test to your users so that they can see it, and also so that you can see it too. Any questions? Contact info@clinicalskills.net.